Nothing? Test? Good evening, everybody. It is now 6:30, so I'd like to call this meeting to order. My name is Jamie Atkins-Weiler. I'm the Clerk and Director of Legislative Services with the Municipality of West Grey, and I'll be clerking this meeting this evening. So item 2 on our agenda is roll call, and I can confirm that all members of West Grey Council and Hanover Council are present and accounted for, with Councillor Harold Fleet from Hanover joining virtually this evening. Item 3 on the agenda is appointment of the chairperson. So if I could call for a mover and a seconder to appoint Deputy Grey County Warden Brian Mill as chair, please. Deputy Mayor Hutchinson and Councillor Doug Townsend from West Grey. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, call the question on that. All in favor? Carried. Over to you, Deputy Warden.
Thank you, Jamie. And thank you, councillors, for your indulgence. We need a motion to adopt the meeting procedures of Grey County in their bylaw and the agenda as presented. Someone want to move that, please? I'm going to let Jamie pick out names. Mayor Eccles. Thank you. Warren, Councillor Dickert. All those in favor? That is carried. Is there any declaration of interest related to any item on this evening's agenda? Okay, not seeing any. If one should arise, you can declare it at any time. Okay, I'm supposed to read these notes. I'd like to remind everyone that the purpose of this public meeting is to receive input from the public on the proposed boundary adjustment. No decisions will be made at the meeting here this evening. The public meeting is an opportunity to learn more about the proposed boundary adjustment and for the public to provide comments and feedback. Personal information, such as it has been collected, is collected under the authority of the Municipal Act. The information collected will be considered as part of the restructuring process and will form part of the public record. Questions about this collection should be addressed to Tara Warder, Grey County Clerk. Following the conclusion of this meeting this evening, members of the media will be provided with an opportunity to pose questions and conduct interviews with the mayors of each municipality. Therefore, I respectfully request that all media inquiries be reserved until after the meeting has been adjourned. Okay, so we'll get right to it with opening remarks from Mayor Eccles and Patterson, and I'll ask Mayor Eccles to begin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to stand here tonight. You can't hear me back there? Thank you, Rob. There, how's that? Is that a little better? Okay. We're gathered here tonight. Both councils have come to the conclusion of some of the negotiations that have been going on for 2 years, more than 2 years, between these two councils. Being on council for a number of years, I can say that the conversations have been going on probably, for the last 25 years. Mayor Sue?
A little longer.
A little longer. The only reason I say 25 years, because that's how long West Grey has been West Grey. And so we've discussed that. And it's not about when we engage these, it certainly hasn't been about who grows and who shrinks. It's about how the community can grow. We're still good. It's about the community and growing, and both of our municipalities are in that, and both are partnering in that. And what is the best partnership is how these discussions have begun and how we've got to here this evening. We'll hear a lot more about that. It has been, as I said, 2 years, and Grey County has certainly helped out in that. And I think that's the bigger factor here is it's Grey County, it's Ontario, and quite frankly, we're in Canada as well too, about growth. None of us can stay the same. As long as our communities are going to continue to grow, and we've seen that. And it's not about whether the municipality or the town of Hanover grows or how the municipality of West Grey grows. This is about community growth, and that's how we entered into these discussions. And we think that we've come up with a reasonable solution for Grey County to win, for the town of Hanover to win, and for the municipality of West Grey to win. And it'll be different ideas on what you declare winning is. I would like to say it's been a pleasure working the working group, being part of the working group, working with Grey County, and even more so working with the town of Hanover and the mayor of Hanover, Sue. It has been very good, and I say thank you, because not all the negotiation days were lollipops, and there's been some tough times, tough discussions, and I think we'll hear some of that and probably be able to answer, hopefully, a lot of the questions this evening, because this is what it is about information on what we've been working on for the last 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Eccles. I'll now ask Mayor Patterson to provide her opening remarks.
So thank you, Mayor Millen, for chairing this meeting and the opportunity to speak. Good evening to both councils and all staff, guests, the viewing public online, and the media. Since 2023, the municipality of West Grey and the town of Hanover have been working together on a plan to mutually benefit the two communities and the region. Representatives from both municipalities and Grey County have been engaged in discussions to consider growth and prosperity in Hanover and West Grey. Growth refers to economic expansion, and prosperity encompasses overall well-being and quality of life for our collective residents. The goal is to move development forward for the mutual benefit of job creation and economic opportunities, and to offer a range of housing and accommodations. West Grey and Hanover are working together to build communities for the future. This is a start of a new municipal relationship between both municipalities, one that is built on transparency, forward-looking, and commitment to continued communication and collaborative benefits for the mutual benefit of both municipalities. I have a new understanding and respect for the municipality of West Grey, Mayor Eccles and his council, and the agricultural sector. I am pleased to share that Hanover and West Grey have reached an in-principle agreement to adjust boundary lines and have executed a memorandum of understanding to establish and implement a framework for proceeding with the next steps under the Municipal Act to establish a boundary adjustment agreement for both councils' consideration. The proposed mutual prosperity agreement offers clear benefits and will help to bring more investment into the community, which will create more assessment, more homes, and more employment opportunities for Hanover, West Grey, and Grey County. The proposed agreement will support the province's goal of building more homes and creating more employment opportunities. Hanover respectfully and in principle offered West Grey financial compensation for the boundary adjustment of 1,634.75 acres to the north, to the east, and to the south of Hanover. The proposed agreement will see the expansion of the Hanover border into West Grey to create an area of mutual prosperity. Hanover will pay West Grey $10 million, $500,000 per year for 20 years. This is to offset the loss of future tax assessment on the lands being transferred. I acknowledge that Hanover will be assuming the financial risk to bring development to fruition. This significant cash financial commitment represents Hanover's intention to engage in this new chapter with determination for development progress. Our respective staff are going to detail the municipal boundary restructuring proposal during the presentation portion of tonight's agenda. I, along with Hanover Council members, welcome the opportunity to hear the comments shared by public members this evening, as well as those submitted in writing. This proposal will create a long-term legacy that benefits both municipalities and our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Patterson. So now we have presentation by CAO, West Grey CAO, Michelle Harris. I never thought to ask this question. Is it a joint presentation or yes?
Yes.
Okay, we'll just go with yes for now. And Hanover CAO, Sherry Walden. So ladies, the floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you, Deputy Warden Milne. I just want to make sure, can everybody hear me okay if I'm sitting and not holding the mic? I have the opportunity this evening, but I also, to share some information with you, but I also have my notes that I need to refer to as well. So as noted, I'm Sherry Walden, the CAO for the town of Hanover, and CAO Michelle Harris and I will be sharing tonight's presentation to detail the boundary adjustment proposal that is being put forth for public comment this evening. So thank you for joining us this evening, and we look forward to your comments that we will hear. So I'm going to ask that the slides move forward to the next slide, please. Now, some of this will be a repeat from what you've heard from Mayor Eccles and Mayor Sue, and that's again just to help to reinforce how we got to be here this evening and what the next steps are accordingly. So the process to date, as noted, has included positive conversations between West Grey and Hanover, facilitated by Grey County staff. We've had a growing prosperity working group, and when you hear us refer to that, that has included both of our mayors, both of Council Rep, Councillor Doug Hutchinson and Councillor Dave Hawking, as well as the two CAOs, our two clerks, Scott Taylor, Director of Planning from Grey County, and Randy Scherzer, the CAO for Grey County as well. And then as we've needed, we've brought in other staff from our municipalities, specifically our treasurers who are here this evening, and our clerks are involved as well. As is noted, without a boundary adjustment, Hanover will run out of residential, commercial, and employment lands by the year 2046. That's been identified through work that we've undertaken in our 2019 local growth management strategy and our scoped comprehensive review. And we need to align with provincial policies with respect to the ability to grow as a municipality. And if we don't have that ability to do that, then we are not meeting provincial priorities or targets. Since 2023, as you've heard, representatives from both municipalities and Grey County have been engaged in discussions to consider growth and prosperity in Hanover and West Grey. There was a joint press release issued by our municipalities in the fall of 2023 indicating that those discussions were occurring and that they were positive. And then we've also, in both of our strategic plans, identified that economic growth is referenced in both of our strategic plans, and definitely boundary adjustment refers to that. The ultimate goal is to move development forward for the mutual benefit of job creation and economic opportunities, and to offer a range of housing accommodations. I'm going to go to the next slide. Actually, we'll go ahead to the next slide as well. And you'll see that Michelle and I are tag teaming here a little bit, and she's up next, so to speak.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. This has been a very diligent process as we've been working through this. We've engaged our councils throughout, so all councils beyond just the reps that are part of our working group have been part of the discussions, have been kept up to date on what's been going on, and have supported in principle this boundary adjustment that is before the public tonight for your input. We should remind everybody, and we had to remind ourselves of this sometimes, that municipal boundaries are arbitrary lines that were drawn on a map by a province at some point in time. These are not lands owned by the municipality. So we just need to remember that as we're moving forward. Through our discussions, we came together and proposed a memorandum of understanding to establish this restructuring proposal and proceed to the next steps. We both had shared legal counsel who had looked at the process we were undergoing and to give us some guidance as we move forward. As we move forward to next steps, subject to public input, we will be seeking individual legal counsel as well to ensure that both municipalities look at it from specific perspectives. Tonight's meeting is being held tonight based on the direction of both councils, and the idea was that we sit together and everybody hears your comments and the public comments together. So that's why we're here this evening. As we mentioned, there was a lot of discussion related to the amounts of land that would be considered as part of this boundary proposal. And we are looking at 1,634.75 acres that are to the north and the east of the current Hanover boundaries. Sherry, you want to talk a little bit more with the map?
I will, yes. So the map that is going to come up here on the next screen, and which was included in the public notice, and as well, that it's posted on the boards here as well. I'm just going to try and walk through a verbal description of the property accordingly. So we're going to start in the north, which is the burgundy, purple, fuchsia perhaps, colored box that is at the top of the map. And we're describing these as the Northlands. So these are north of County Road 28, and this includes future secondary plan areas that were designated through Grey County Official Plan Amendment. The Eastlands, which we're going to just, if you're looking at the map, you'll see an odd-shaped piece of property as such. And this is east of County Road 28 or 24th Avenue. From the town of Hanover boundary north to the Saugeen River. Essentially, that's approximately 2 properties that are currently in West Grey, and those are the only 2 properties from the corner of 10th Street in Hanover and 24th Avenue, so the Canadian Tire Grants corner, to the river on the east side of County Road 28. Those are the only 2 properties right now that are in West Grey. So again, it just made some common sense, I guess you would say, for those to come to be part of this boundary adjustment. We're then going to move to the next piece of property, which is eastward, and on the map, it's closest to the words West Grey. And this is north of Grey Road 4 and east of the town of Hanover boundary. For reference, this is former Bucks Crossing Golf Course area approximately as a reference. And then the larger portion of the property on the map in the south, this is east of the town of Hanover boundary. I should have noted that the boundary lines, as you can see, are in the white accordingly for the town of Hanover boundary lines. This includes the future secondary plan areas designated through Grey County Official Plan Amendments 11 and 122, and it's also north of Concession 2 SDR. And the SDR is important because there's also Concession 2 NDR. Okay, we're going to go to the next slide. So again, you've heard Mayor Sue mention about the financial compensation, and to establish that amount, we utilize the services and the expertise of a municipal tax specialist. And they help to develop financial modeling to analyze that future assessment value on the identified mutual prosperity lands. And as a result of that modeling, $10 million compensation to West Grey was proposed to offset the loss of future tax assessment on the lands being transferred. As Mayor Sue indicated, Hanover will provide financial compensation in the amount of $10 million paid in equal installments of $500,000 over a 20-year period to West Grey. This agreement and the proposed financial compensation to West Grey provides a simple and predictable payment model and administrative formula for implementation. We did our homework. We looked at other boundary adjustment agreements, and we kept hearing we need to keep it simple and clear and concise. This is fairly simple for not only the staff and the municipal politicians of today, but those that are going to be administering this moving forward should this be approved. Next slide, please.
For obviously West Grey, if this proposal goes through, we'll be losing lands and we'll be losing the tax assessment on those lands. When the province and communities look at growth, they want to look at growth within close to serviced areas or where areas could be serviced. These lands had never been identified by West Grey as development lands per se. If we were going to invest in service growth, we would be looking at that in our settlement areas. So the adjacency to Hanover made sense. And the proposal and the investment that, or the offering that Hanover has put forward, the $10 million, will allow the municipality of West Grey to invest in our own municipal infrastructure in other areas, and recognizing that obviously we will be losing assessment after this 20-year term. We also recognize that, and I know there are a number of people in this room who mentioned to me about certain lands, and not everybody actually knows where the boundaries are. We assume, and I've had some people assume, that Walmart was in West Grey and that we would be losing that, and we blur. I mean, we all travel back and forth, and I think recognizing the mutual respect the communities have and the opportunity for growth, where people live and work, we think the geographic cluster makes sense, and that the residents of West Grey will benefit from the growth in these new lands, as well as the new employment opportunities that will exist. Additionally, growth provides new amenities, more services, more shopping opportunities, which will obviously benefit West Grey as well.
Next slide, please. Thanks, Rob, for helping us out with this. From a Hanover perspective, and you've heard it mentioned already, it will provide us with new lands for long-term commercial, industrial, and residential development. A growing community is necessary to ensure the sustainability of our community for the future. Development will result in new assessment and new taxes, and it will be jobs and houses for residents of the region. Next slide.
And I'll speak to the benefits for Grey County, our parent municipality, I guess as you could call it, or our upper tier. Obviously, the county will benefit from new development, including new tax assessment, potentially development charges, jobs and housing for our residents, but perhaps even more importantly, this will help position the southern region of Grey County as a vibrant economic zone. The county's economic development strategy has recently identified the need for development lands in Grey County if we want to attract development. And this partnership and this agreement between Hanover and West Grey will allow the opportunity not just for each of our municipalities to benefit, but from Grey County to work at it with us in attracting investment and businesses to the region.
We'll go to the next slide, please. Now, if you're a Hanover resident in the crowd, you might be saying, how is Hanover going to pay West Grey the $500,000 a year? So council has in principle approved that the tax levy revenue generated by the boundary adjustment lands will be allocated to that payment on an annual basis for those 20 years. As well, there will be an annual 0.5% tax levy increase, and that will be increased by 0.5% each year thereafter until 2030. This is assuming that this takes effect in 2026. From 2031 onward, the amount required from the tax levy is incremental and begins to decrease as of 2032. As well, we plan to use investing in Hanover reserve funds and those will be utilized for the first 5 years to offset that. The Council of the Day in 2010 made a progressive decision to have a levy that is split between a number of reserves that are assisting the town to undertake imperative work. One is our Investing in Hanover Reserve Fund, our tangible capital assets, which helps to renew our infrastructure, and general reserves. So again, that's around the Investing in Hanover Reserve Funds, just to give you a bit of background that way. Next slide, please. With respect to what is planned for development of these lands at this time, it's important to note that there's no specific development planned at this time. Future development, as has been noted, is expected to be commercial, industrial, and residential. If this is approved, then the town of Hanover will be required to amend and revise our official plan and our comprehensive zoning bylaw. Both of those are planning processes that are legislated by the province through the Planning Act. As will Grey County need to do that as well. Official plan and the comprehensive zoning bylaw, they dictate what specific development can occur on lands. So that process will, once it's confirmed and once those planning processes are in place, that will create the framework for how development on those lands will occur. I also note that there's no obligation for any property owner to develop their lands. We also recognize that some of the lands are agricultural. Farming can continue, and all landowners will maintain their right to farm as long as they choose. We know and we acknowledge that farming has a rich history in Grey County. It's a valued part of our regional economy that needs to be protected. It's not uncommon for expanding development lands around primary settlement areas as a best practice for reducing overall sprawl and protecting agricultural lands. Sorry, when I talk a lot, my mouth goes dry. At least that's what my husband maybe says once in a while. It's acknowledged that the mutual prosperity lands include agricultural lands currently in productive use, and any lands under active farming, as I noted, may continue to be farmed by the landowner for as long as the landowner wishes to do so. And I will just reiterate again, no landowner within these lands shall be compelled to sell, develop, or alter the use of their property except in accordance with their voluntary sale or their wishes. Next slide, please. With respect to those properties that will be moved in or proposed to move into the town of Hanover boundary, you will pay, if this is approved, you will pay your taxes to the town of Hanover. It's reality that the property taxes will increase based on the fact that Hanover's current tax rate is higher than West Grey's. Hanover is committed to phasing that increase in over 5 years. Hanover will provide most services, including police, fire, bylaw, library, parks, recreation and culture, and waste management. For those Hanover residents that are in the crowd, it was noted before with respect to how council has proposed to cover the $500,000 that there will be a 0.5% tax increase to be introduced, again, proposed for 2026, and that would occur for the next 5 years to support those payments to West Grey. Next slide, please. We've provided an example. We've got both a residential and an agricultural example for those properties that would be proposed to come into the town of Hanover. So this is the residential example. So it's based on a single detached residential property, and it's based on 2025 taxes. So I just want to be really clear about that. Again, the average West Grey property value is based on $250,000. So that's what we've used for our calculation here for this example. A property that's assessed at that value, based on that average West Grey property value, you're currently in 2025 paying West Grey taxes. I'm going to use round numbers here, $3,720 if I round to the nearest dollar. If that same property today in West or in Hanover would be about $4,241. So that's a difference of about $522. The graph that you see on the right-hand side of the words illustrates the 5-year phase-in. So essentially, let's say this was occurring in 2026. Essentially, that West Grey property owner in 2026, or year one, I'm just going to use year one, but let's assume it's 2026. That would be an additional taxes owing of 20% or $104, with the town of Hanover subsidizing that phase-in to the amount of $418. And you can see that if you use that $522 in year two, that West Grey property owner is paying $209. Year three, they're paying $313. Year four, $417. And year five, you'll be at that $522 or the difference between the West Grey and the town of Hanover taxes. Again, this is a residential property example. I will share that we have our finance staff here tonight. They have had an opportunity in cooperation with West Grey finance staff to take a look at all of the properties that are proposed. And based on your roll numbers, we've got examples to be able to show you specifically if your property's part of the proposed lands, we would encourage you to speak with our staff. Following the meeting, we can give you specifics about your property. Next slide, please. This is an agricultural or farmland example. And again, it's based on 2025 taxes as noted, and with the assessed value of $1 million. In 2025, this example property would be paying $3,292 in taxes. If this property was in the town of Hanover, it would be paying $3,747 in taxes. Same thing, this will be phased in over 5 years. So the chart's exactly the same as the residential example. You can see that in year one, the additional taxes of 20% would be $91, with the town of Hanover subsidy for that phase-in of $364. Okay? Year two, $182. Year three, $273. And year four, $364. And then year five, you will be at that 100% of $455. Okay, so that's the agricultural example farmland that we have. And again, if you're a property owner within the proposed land areas, we would encourage you, we've got those examples worked out that we can share with you specifics around your property. We will go to the next slide.
Because Sherry did all the heavy lifting, I will take this part. Just want to talk about what the next steps are. So thank you all for coming here tonight. This joint public meeting is the first step in our public consultation. As the meeting winds down or the presentation, we look forward to you coming up and providing your comments and questions at the podium. Other written comments can be submitted either online. We have comment forms at the back if you'd like to fill those out. We're asking that if those could be submitted by November 26th. Hanover and West Grey councils will review all comments as they consider the mutual prosperity boundary adjustment agreement prior to the end of this calendar year. Once those comments are taken into account, the boundary adjustment submission will be submitted to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, hopefully by the end of this calendar year. If approved through a minister's order, the minister can approve the agreement after their fulsome review. Following the minister's orders, Hanover and Grey County will complete official plan and comprehensive zoning bylaw amendments and updates.
We should go to the next slide, please.
We have received a number of comments already. They have been sent to Grey County. These are some of the people who have submitted comments. Next slide, please. Some of the questions that we have received and we'd like to address tonight, if we may, before we take additional comments. There were people wanting to know if their specific property was going to be affected by this boundary adjustment. Rather than us dealing with each person individually in this public forum, we do, as Sherry said, have staff here, and you're welcome to go over and talk to Chris, and they can help you identify if your property is in that area and what the impacts will be. There was a question as to what is the amount of current property taxes that go to West Grey annually from these subject properties. The municipality of West Grey, based on today's current rate, receives $128,168 in annual tax assessment from those properties. There was also a question is what is the amount of tax revenue that West Grey will lose for the 20-year period compared to the amount that the town of Hanover will pay? So the town of Hanover for 20 years has proposed paying West Grey $500,000 a year for 20 years based on today's rate. If you take away the current over 20 years, that's $10 million, a net increase for West Grey of $371,832 over the 20-year period where that payment. So that's the difference between the $500,000 and the $128,000 that West Grey currently collects in tax assessment. Why is West Grey considering this boundary change, and what is the benefit to West Grey to giving up more land? I'm going to group those two together. I think we've addressed that through this presentation, but at the end of the day, both councils recognize that looking out and creating a long-term legacy for growth and economic vitality will benefit both communities. Remembering that the municipality of West Grey, while giving up tax assessment, does not own the lands in question. There was a question about will recycling and garbage be picked up from Hanover when the schedule switches over. And yes, if this happens, Hanover will assume all services for those lands, including recycling and garbage, and based on what we're dealing with the recycling transition, have fun.
Yes. It's interesting, that's one thing we've had to both deal with about at the same time. I know when we were getting our recycling carts in Hanover, my son was getting his recycling cart in Durham as well, so it was kind of interesting to hear the comments. Sorry, did we move to the next slide? Next slide, please. So these are a continuation of some of the other comments we received in advance. There were a couple around hunting. Will hunting on properties that are currently within West Grey be allowed to continue if this boundary adjustment is approved? And kind of a subsequent question, if farming is allowed to continue, will hunting on these properties be the same? So we recognize that the importance of hunting. We do not have an exact answer for that this evening, and we have noted that question. We haven't referenced yet, but if you're not aware, there is a frequently asked questions document that's on both West Grey and Hanover websites. It is our intent to have a look at this question and to provide the appropriate answer through the frequently asked questions. So I would encourage you to check those websites regularly for updates with respect to those questions. There was also a comment about not being interested in paying more taxes and concerned about increase in traffic, subdivisions, and more restaurants. So again, we acknowledge that the input has been received, and you know, the fact of development is that those things do occur. Michelle's going to take, I believe, the next two bullets. We are sharing this slide a little bit.
Thank you. There was a question about will the municipal tax specialist report identifying the rationale for the future assessment value of the compensation for West Grey be shared. So it is an incredibly complex tax document that makes all of our eyes blur, but except for perhaps our treasurers. So we are trying to disseminate it into a readable form for you. And then we will post it on both websites on the frequently asked questions page, so you can look at that. It was not meant to be, this is specifically the dollar and this is the future dollar value and you will get every penny that this talks about. It was to be a guiding principle. And I think one of the things we were very cognizant about is in any negotiation, and that these tax numbers helped ground truth some of the discussions that we were having between both councils. And we know that negotiations never work when one side wins and the other side loses. And we really wanted to be respectful as we looked at these numbers. Did West Grey feel it was being fairly compensated for the loss of tax assessment? And is this a number that Hanover could reasonably afford to pay? Is the reality, would this make sense long-term when they do the pro forma on the lands? And this document really helped us ground truth those numbers. There was also a question about, will the score analysis and assessment conducted for options be shared? So for those of you who aren't familiar, score analysis is strengths, challenges, opportunities, and risks. A lot of those conversations took place even before 2023, I believe, and they were more, there was not a solid document. It was a process that the working group came together to do a score analysis. Each municipality did their independent score analysis. They created their own notes, their own thinking process around what that looked like, and came back and used those as a guiding point for discussions. We have a document that we will be posting on the frequently asked questions page that collectively looks at what we believe the challenges, opportunities, risks, and strengths are related to this, but there was never one point in time where there was a definitive document. But you will find the summary of that posted on our frequently asked question page.
And then the last bullet on this slide talks to how soon will Hanover issue a document detailing the proposed official plan amendment and zoning changes for these lands. Again, pending the minister's zoning order approval, we are prepared to undertake that work in a very immediate fashion. That's really crucial to us moving forward with activating these lands for development accordingly. So we will, as soon as we have that approval, we are prepared to move forward with those processes accordingly. Next slide, please. The next, again, these are some more comments. It was about clarifying what the mutually beneficial path forward includes and not wanting to see more cannabis outlets. So, you know, as noted, we don't have defined development. We are, you know, the comprehensive zoning bylaw and the official plan will help us to unlock development potential for these lands. As we noted, both those documents have to be updated and amended, and they determine the development direction. And provided development, and I think that, you know, I'm not a planner, but I've learned a lot since I became CAO about planning, to be honest. And what I've learned is that, you know, I think there's a common perception that the town or the municipalities get to determine what goes on in a building or on a piece of property. And yes, our comprehensive zoning bylaws and our official plan help to shape what is permissible and what can happen there. We don't own the land and we don't own the building, so we have very limited say or influence on what kind of business goes into that building. So I just wanted to make that note accordingly. Excuse me. We had received comments from the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, who is a stakeholder and a partner with a lot of our municipal work, and we will continue to work with them, and we acknowledge their notes accordingly. They have recommended some updated flood plan mapping and undertaking some erosion hazards and wetland studies accordingly. And then Michelle, I believe, is going to deal with that third bullet.
And finally, there were some questions about the process and concern that appears that decisions have already been made. And I just want to reiterate, there have been no decisions made at this point. We are entering the public process now to seek comments on what this might look like and what the public, what questions they have. Sherry mentioned it earlier. This term of council, both councils issued a joint press release back in the fall of 2023 advising that these conversations were starting to take place. Both municipalities identified this work in their strategic plan. And obviously, as you're in negotiations, some of the discussions had to be in closed session when you're talking numbers. But as soon as a general agreement was agreed to by both councils, we've come public now, and this public forum will continue to move forward. And on that, we are now looking forward to passing it over to you, and I'll turn it over to Chair Milne.
Well, maybe just go to the next slide though, Rob, just for the expectations for the public comments.
Brian's gonna.
Thank you, Rob. And if you read through those, and I'll just summarize them, and thank you, ladies, for the presentation. I have a screen here and I can see who's online, and I'm going to keep an eye on that, and we'll take questions from people online. But we also encourage people to come up to the microphone, state your name and your municipality, and are they to write their name on the name and address on there's a piece of paper on the podium. So if you could do that when you come up to ask your question. Please keep your questions general in nature. If you have a question specifically to your property, as has been noted here a couple times, staff are going to hang around after the formal piece of the meeting, and you can inquire about your particular property at that time. So, as has been noted at different forums, those are the rules to date, but I reserve the right to change the rules as we see fit, just to keep everybody happy and in order. So with that said, if there are any questions from the audience or online, we'd be happy to have them at this time. Come on up to the microphone, ma'am. Welcome.
Hello.
And thank you for going first. I thought we were going to have to go home early.
Oh, no problem there. No problem. All right. Good evening. My name is Adrienne McKenzie, and my husband is Eric Obermeyer. We reside at 341017 Gray Road 28, Hanover. So we reside on Lot 1, Plot 55, Bentic, in the municipality of West Gray. My husband has resided in West Gray for over 40 years, and I have lived here for the past 25. When looking to buy our forever house, we had the choice of the town of Hanover or to live in West Gray, and we chose West Gray for a variety of reasons. We are here tonight to voice our concerns about the proposal land transfer from West Gray to Hanover. When I know you said to keep them general, but this was prepared ahead of time, and I will submit it as well. When looking specifically at lots 1 and 2, concession 3 NDR, there's a considerable amount of land that cannot be developed as it's classified as hydro setbacks and nature wetlands. This is not going to change when it suddenly becomes Hanover land. According to these 2 lots in the proposed transfer, including these 2 lots in the proposed transfer for future development, does not make any sense. Looking at the land that encompasses lots 1 to 10 concession 3DR as labeled the Northlands, it is confusing as to why this land is being considered. Looking at recent Hanover development, it has been south of Hanover, more specifically south of 10th Street, Hanover. The new water tower, the new fire station, the industrial park, JDSS and car dealership, plus other things. A few years back, Hanover acquired land north of the Saugeen River and south of Gray Road 28 on the north end of town. Since acquiring this land, there has been little new development in this area where there's a lot of land available, but nothing has been done other than building a cement plant, which has caused considerable issues, including water table issues, increased noise from cement trucks, and increased light pollution from the cement factory's bright lights. It seems to be that Hanover was just wanting to grab more land north of town since they could not develop this area due to hydro setbacks. So now they've decided to go farther north yet again. Did they not consider this in the previous acquisitions of land south of Gray Road 28 and north of the Saugeen River? If we become part of Hanover, will our concerns, thoughts, and opinions be taken into consideration with the future development plans? Sorry, but I doubt it. There has been little transparency from either council. The original proposal was looking into part A, B, C, or D. Suddenly, it's now A, B, C, and D. When did this shift happen? Why was there no announcement or information given to those potentially impacted? Councils, especially West Grey Council, has not talked to residents directly. We've not been talked to, affecting the surrounding areas. Secondly, residents were made aware of the tentative agreement between councils through social media. The post was made on October 30th, and we did not receive formal notice on October 31st that we were directly affected by this proposed joint tentative agreement. We feel that we have been bullied, not taxpaying citizens. How? If this transfer proceeds, there is no process for residents to appeal if signed off by the minister's order. It seems like Hanover and West Grey councils are acting as bullies here, doing what is best for them and not for the paying constituents of the municipality or the town of Hanover. Now, trying to see this from both sides, as my father often told me, there are more than one side to a story. We've looked at what would be gained by the land transfer, specifically the area on lots 1 to 10. In our opinion, there's no gain. We will not be gaining any more service from our current services. We already have fire and police, ambulance, waste removal, road maintenance, and we can make use of Hanover Parks and Rec services. It was stated in the package we received, a benefit that we could use the Hanover Library. This is nothing new. We currently can go to Durham and use the Durham Library. We can even visit the Hanover Library, and if we wish, pay a small fee to be able to check books out. So this advantage comes with an extreme cost of higher taxes and huge losses. So thus, it's not a benefit at all.
You're just about to wrap up, right? Okay.
Residents are not gaining anything, no water, no sanitation, no fiber optic cable, no high-speed internet service through the proposed land transfer. All that is proposed for us is higher taxes, unknown future development, and the loss of homesteading activities. Furthermore, once services are extended to us, meaning water and sanitation, we must hook up and we must pay for the installation of these services. There are too many unknowns for us to jump on this bandwagon of land transfer, including when will water and sanitation services be extended? We must connect, but have no indication out-of-pocket expense for this cost. Is this something that members of town of Hanover or the municipality of West Grey Council would blindly agree to? Mayor Eccles, would you agree to such an agreement as a public citizen of West Grey? What are the short, medium, and long-range plan goals for each land area regarding development? Or is this a take now and figured out later approach? How do we as residents win? You talk of Hanover winning and West Grey winning, but never the residents involved winning. So we seem to be losers in this. We are residents of West Grey, we pay taxes to West Grey, we elect West Grey officials and do not appreciate being dismissed by West Grey Council for a payout of $10 million from Hanover. There is no need to take more land in the Northlands as labeled, as there's a lot there available and nothing has been utilized in any way. I do not know of many West Grey residents or at all who want to become part of Hanover. If we wanted to live in this town, we would have lived there 25 years ago. In conclusion, there is no advantage to West Grey residents becoming part of Hanover, especially in lots 1 to 10, concessions 3 and DR, and especially those in lots 1 and 2. Thank you for the opportunity to voice our opinion, thoughts, concerns, and hopefully shed light on how we as residents of West Grey feel in regard to being strong-armed into becoming a resident of Hanover.
Thank you very much. I'll ask Mayor Eccles or Mayor Patterson if they want to comment, or the CAOs.
If you want to hear our comment,
Just, sir, just stay calm. We'll get to you. We'll get to you.
Talk to me, I'll talk from there if you like.
Okay, well, just wait a minute. We want to see if there's a response to the previous speaker. Sherry, do you wish to say?
Thanks, Adrian, for those comments. There was a number of points there. I'll maybe speak to a couple of them, specifically the Northlands. They were identified in our comprehensive review with respect to the areas that made sense for the town of Hanover to grow. With respect to the note about the lands that exist in the north, that the town is perceived to have done not much or nothing, so to speak. There's a considerable background work being done to get services to those areas. And it's an environmental assessment process that can take a fair bit of time, unfortunately. But those are in process now and have been for some time, so that we can get services further north into those lands to be able to activate them accordingly. I'm trying to think, if I can just, you talked about not gaining anything in your thoughts, and yet you talked about accessing services from the town of Hanover. And I hear you, because that happens by a number of our neighbors. No different than when I had a child who played hockey, she went to West Grey to play hockey for girls hockey. So, well, it's assumed that West Grey property owners do utilize and access town of Hanover services. I know your kids and you were both involved in soccer for quite some time. And, you've been accessing those services. You're now, potentially, if this goes through, you will be able to invest in maintaining those services that perhaps you've been accessing and enjoying the access to. So those are a couple comments that I would take out of your list accordingly.
Thank you, Sherry. Mayor Eccles? Michelle? You good? All right. Are there any other questions? Somebody would like to come up to the podium and speak? Come on up, sir.
I'm not a clerk, I'm at the King or the Queen. I'm just a regular citizen. My name is David Small. Not John Small, as the Purelator guy had on his address to me. I've lived in the same residence for almost 40 years with my wife. Prior to that, starting in the summer of '65, I lived in that residence as a 9-year-old until I was 21. The land that Hanover is paying so much for is a good portion of one property owner that you really want to see gone. We all know who it is. They've had a death in their family. My condolences to the Magwood family. Now, that's your big holdback. The land you're paying big for. Would you like me, this lady here, she told you what's wrong with what's up the other side. I'm going to tell you what's wrong with where I live. I'm in concession 1, South Durham Road, lot 16, part lot 16. Part lot 16 has Silver Creek running through it, along with the lot beside me, 15. There's Silver Creek run through there. It goes through lot 16 back to lot 17, where it starts as a spring area on the South Durham Road too. Now, if you go to 16 and 15 of the South Durham Road, that land was reforested a number of years ago because it was so rough, hilly, and where it wasn't rough and hilly, it was wet and not suitable, not even for farming. Smitty's bought it. It was the old Nectal sawmill factory property. You know where I'm talking? Do you know where I'm talking? It's funny you speak up.
Yes,
Good. Have you been there? Have you actually taken a look at it?
I don't trespass on private property, and I've never been invited onto the property, so.
Well, I wish the landowners would invite you, because I'd look at it as you're taking them for a ride. Any land that's not agricultural and looking good is usually pretty rough. There's a reason for it. Our settlers weren't stupid people. Right now, I think you guys are about 15 years ahead of yourselves. You actually do have land, and it's not being serviced because it costs money. Maybe you should take that $500,000 next year and get yourselves the sewers and water across the Saugeen. You don't have to go all the way up until you need it, but get it across. Be ready, be prepared. Think about that. Meanwhile, I'm going to pay more taxes, and like this lady here, I live where I live because that's where I live. I don't really care for people too much. For me to come out here and talk to you people, I'm scared shitless that I'm going to go to jail. My wife wants me to come home tonight, so I should shut my mouth, but I'm not going to. You should take a look at it. You're getting screwed over. You guys, you're doing what you think is right. As far as I'm concerned, you're probably already cut and dry. People I've talked to, they figure it's cut and dry, and there's no use coming here. If you want to talk to me, you know where I am. Call me, 364-1975. I'm home most of the time. I've got nothing else to do. I could be a thorn in your ass, or I could be your best friend. You choose what you want. I'll take my seat over here and shut up for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, sir.
You're more than welcome.
Are there any other questions? Not seeing any online.
One other person that can actually stand up and say anything I hope before you do.
Come on up to the microphone, sir. Welcome.
Mr. Chair, Bob McNeil, West Gray.
Thank you.
And I was just wondering, are the landowners going to have an opportunity to vote on this boundary or not?
Good question. Who wants to take that? Sherry?
Mr. McNeil, to my understanding, no. Residents do not get a direct vote as such. The elected officials for both West Gray and Hanover will approve a boundary adjustment agreement that's put forth to them or not. Again, no decisions have been made. Tonight, we are here to listen to input. At such time, should that be approved by both councils, then as has been detailed, it would go forth to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and at which point they go through their fulsome review, and provided it meets the requirements that they have for that submission, and that there's a mutual agreement between the two municipalities, the minister's order would be approved, the minister's order would be issued to approve the boundary adjustment. I'd welcome either CAO Harris or CAO Scherzer to add to that if need be.
Good?
Exactly, yeah.
Very good. Good question. Any other questions? Was there one online? Oh, yes, I see. Melanie Wilson, you have your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I've made some comments in
This
the
is where we
chat.
find out whether the technology is really going to work or not.
Yeah, I've got some questions in the chat. If you could read those, please.
Rob, can you hear that question at the back there?
No, I can't.
No. Perhaps if, Melanie, if you can hear me, perhaps put your question into the chat box. Perhaps we could get it that way. And while she's doing that, I'll see if there's any others here in the audience. Yep, we got one. Come ahead. Welcome.
Thank you. Lynn St. Onge, and I live on Grey Road 28 in the so-called Northlands.
Very good.
Does it have to be a unanimous vote between all the council, or is it a majority vote?
Good question.
Thank you. It does not need to be unanimous, but it does need to be the majority.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Okay, I'm still not seeing anything from, oh, wait. Can you not read my questions out? I haven't got your, oh. Okay, hang on, Melanie, there we go. Oh, wow, there's quite a few questions here. That's his fault. Okay, the first question we have online is, why are the public only having the opportunity to learn about this proposal in detail when you have been in serious discussions for at least the last 2 years? It sounds like you have already made the decision and this meeting is just a ticking the box exercise.
I'll start that one.
Sure.
Michelle?
I'll give Sherry a bit of a break. The discussions have been going on for 2+ years, and an agreement only came together probably less than a month ago. There was challenges, questions, analysis done, and it was a month ago at best that an agreement in principle was reached between the two parties. And as soon as that came forward, that's why we're here today.
Very good. The next question is, what industries or businesses have expressed an interest in developing in Hanover? And this is from Ms. Wilson. Sherry, you want to take that one, or
Sorry.
Mayor Sue?
Go ahead.
Just stealing Mayor Sue's thunder here a little bit. So, good question. And it's very difficult for us. We can't name specific industries or commercial until we know that there is actual confirmed developments. I can share with you that we receive regularly development inquiries with respect to appropriate lands for a variety of commercial, industrial type opportunities that we are literally turning away. And that's not great for any of us here, including the municipalities and Grey County.
Okay, thank you. Yep, Mayor Eccles, if you'd like to chime in, go ahead, please.
There's also been a number of inquiries at the West Grey Municipal Office as well, too, for development opportunities on the properties as they sit in West Grey, close to Hanover. It would have been wonderful, could we have done that, but under provincial legislation and the infrastructure that's required, it was impossible for West Grey to service these lands. That's been a factor for the last 50 years, as we said earlier. To be able to open up this development and enhance the community, that's why we entered into these negotiations to start. And to be able to recognize and make the opportunities available for that type of growth and that type of investment in our community. And yes, I'm not saying Hanover, I'm not saying West Grey, I'm saying the community, because we have partnered in this. Part of ours is the land, part of Hanover's is going to be able to develop it, or be able to offer the infrastructure and the services. And to be able to co-do that, for the last 25 years, we've been trying to find a way to do it. A number of other municipalities of Ontario have tried the way to do it. And it only works when it's one municipality that it's in there, that it will work to the best opportunities or the best advancement of that. And for that reason, that was probably one of the biggest reasons that West Grey Council entered into these discussions and why we're here today. There was another question. Why wasn't the citizenry or the public involved? We could have started that conversation 2 years ago. We would have been out of here in 10 minutes because we didn't have any of the information to be able to say how this was going to go forward. It's what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So we've worked for 2 years to be able to get to this point of where we're here to listen and to be able to give you the information of how this could work and can work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Eccles. The next question we have online here is, with the growth, what additional support services are required? Police, medical, fire service, water, sewage, etc. And how much is this going to cost the taxpayer? Or are we going to see a decline in our response rates / increase in crime / decrease in service levels?
Take that.
Sherry?
So from a fire perspective, most of the area is already serviced by Hanover Fire Department through a agreement with West Grey. So there should be no change for response. From a police perspective, it would be policed by Hanover Police Service. We know that West Grey Police Service also has a respectful police service. I like to think that response might be increased because you'll be closer to the Hanover Police Station, but I'm not, policing isn't my forte or area of expertise. I would think that you're going to see service level enhanced there. With respect to the water and sewer and the infrastructure servicing, the town of Hanover, through our investigation and work with this process, we have a high-level servicing plan that we've had developed for both water and sewer, as well as road infrastructure. And as Mayor Sue stated, I believe in her opening statement, she said that Hanover is assuming the risk with that financial investment, and that is correct. It does come with a price tag accordingly. However, it is the investment that is needed to activate the lands to see the potential growth that we have identified for both commercial, industrial, and residential. I think I've covered all the points.
Thank you, Sherry. The next question online here. Is this financial commitment a risk that Hanover residents want to be burdened with, given the huge debt Canada is in, and that many businesses are struggling financially? The main street has many empty units. Why are these not utilized? New apartment complex on 7th and 10th. What is the occupancy rate? Good thing we brought Sherry along tonight. She's got all the answers.
I don't know if I have all the answers or not, but respectfully, Ms. Wilson, I'm going to say that the 7th Avenue property and the downtown are very much questions not related to this evening. If you have questions about that, I would encourage you to contact our staff and our office, and we'd be happy to have that conversation with you. First one, again, was, help me out.
Financial commitment, is it a risk to
Financial
Hanover?
commitment is a risk. You know, council definitely had to make a difficult financial decision with respect to the offer that was made to West Grey. It wasn't made lightly, and it was not made without considerable thought and investigation, analysis, with the help of our financial staff. And when you look at it and you look at a 0.5% tax levy increase, that's about $50,000 overall to the municipality if this is year one of this agreement. The town is well positioned to afford that.
Okay. We have another question from Ms. Wilson. Hanover is acquiring the land for $10 million, so West Grey is benefiting by selling off land and will also benefit from the growth that will be at the expense of Hanover. Why doesn't West Grey develop, and then Hanover can benefit from their development without incurring a $10 million debt? So essentially she was wondering, why isn't the deal go the other way? So I'm going to ask Michelle to take a run at that one. Michelle.
I'll take a stab at that, and I actually may ask our Director of Planning at the county to speak to it as well. But the province looks, when there is development, to have services extended from current settlement areas. The affordability, if West Grey chose to decide to find a way to service those lands when we have no servicing capability there, would be like going from a peanut to a mountain. Whereas the idea is you want to, and Sherry mentioned it as well, to decrease sprawl, you want it closer to a settlement area. And it naturally makes sense if you're going to extend services, you extend them from where they already exist and extend out. Scott, I don't know if you have any more planning lingo that.
Oh, we're doing good so far. So I don't see any further questions online. But if you have a question, sir, come on up. Nope, not at all. Just your name and municipality, and we're off to the races.
Sure.
Please.
Write it down here first. Testing. Okay, I'm Ray Carmount. Most you know me. I live on the drive-in road between the Hanover Drive-In and the newer church. I'm probably the oldest guy here tonight, next to Mr. Telker. He and I are about the same age. And I've been in the area like Goldie has for a long time. I've lived at this location is 033-231 Grave Road 28 for 74 years. I bought out the home property. 72 years. I lied. We moved there when I was 4. Today I was 76. I've seen a lot of changes in the town of Hanover. I've talked to Mr. Eccles about taxes. I hear concerns here tonight with people with taxes, and I don't like to see my taxes go up. I talked to Kevin a few months ago, and you know what? He told me, decent tax increase for this year. Now I'm going to be moving, and I'm going to get more tax, but that's okay. I think the two communities have to be congratulated on what they've done. It's certainly been a tough process, getting together and trying to get some info to present to us. I don't care to move right away. I've indicated that to people, but I understand if town wants to grow, things have to happen. I go back and I've seen a lot of mayor changes in West Gray, the old Bennick, town of Hanover. We talked about how long this has been talked in the communities and the councils. And my dad died in 1983, and I think Al Fisher was the mayor in Hanover. And we were talking at that time, the two municipalities, we made the national news. That was a big deal. The two, Bentinck and West Gray, and it was both getting right-of-ways to the east end of Hanover to put town sewers or stuff like that. So that's a heck of a long time. Kathy Maskell, we all recall her. And Kathy, to me, had stated 3 things have to happen for a municipality to grow. We need education, we gotta have hospitals, and we gotta have recreation. Hanover's done that. I think you've done a good job. We got 30 new schools. I think the Catholic school is the oldest. We got newer schools. We got a great hospital. We have not had a closure. Look around us, and it's sad that's happened around us, but the Hanover Hospital has been super proactive. We have the P&H Center, and that attracts people and young people. Look how we've grown. Look how the area across from the new Hanover High School has grown. Look how behind Walmart has grown. That doesn't happen. It's not happening around us as much. So something's happening, and we have to make room for those moves. We haven't had hospital closures, and that's super important. So we've met all those things. People want to come here. Industries, I think, would come here. And if the Hanover and West Gray, it is a community project, has a chance to offer that land, to me, it's a way of moving forward. We're not going to get left behind. And I like the fact that you stressed in your Q&A all the way through this, that farmers affected don't have to sell their land. We know these farmers have strong beliefs. We got to have food. It scares you, the amount of land that's going down to city development across the province. I've heard numbers. Mayors, you have better numbers, but on a weekly basis, it's shocking. So I like you've addressed that very strongly and obviously support that. So just like to say thank you. I think you've done a great job working on this.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you very much for your comments, sir. Mayor Eccles, do you want to respond?
Thank you, Ray. You said something about, and what we've been very careful of saying is that farmers, the land that is being farmed in this area has every right to stay and do that. There are other property owners other than farmers that are in this area as well too. And I think that's got to be very emphatically said, there's not going to be an uprising and move you off your property. It's what you want to do with your property. I see an individual here, I believe they have 8, 9 acres, give or take, on a couple of these areas that are in this area. And if you want to keep that and that's your residential area, that we've been very clear on that in the conversations, that is going to be maintained. So it's not just farmers, to be clear. It's up to the property owner if you want development on it. And to be clear, there's 1,634.75 acres. It's identified that growth is somewhere, give or take, between 675 to 700 acres. There's approximately 1,000 acres in there that was identified earlier that probably we won't have growth on because it's in a hazard land, because it's too close to the river, da-da-da-da-da. So there's 600-700 acres. 98% of that is owned by private individuals. And until you make the decision, I believe when it goes into Hanover, of what you want to continue to do or what you want, how you want your land developed. That's all that I've got to say. It's not just farmers, it's all property owners that are in control of what happens on their property going forward with this. We're emphatic in that in the negotiations.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor Eccles. I don't see any other questions online. Is there any further questions or comments in the audience here this evening? Sir, come on up. Welcome.
Name's Rick Beatty. I have one of the properties that you spoke of with the odd shape, two pieces together by the river.
Okay.
My question is, you said landowners can do what they want with their properties. They're not going to do anything, make them build on it or whatever. So what about when you guys try forcing us to hook up to sewer and water? You just stated that I could do what I wanted with my property.
I stated that you could do what you wanted with your property as far as growth. If water and sewer comes by and whatnot, I'm not sure what Hanover, I'm going to let Hanover speak to that. But I'll give you the one example of it. In one of our urban centers, we extended it out. And what was in effect is, can you service your property? And when we investigated it on that property, when it was on the properties, I think there was 34 properties. Everybody said that they were good staying on their sewer and their well. Nine of the septic systems, I said sewer, sorry, septic systems were failing. They were very thankful that they had the opportunity to hook up to a sewer system at that point in time. I'm not sure how Hanover's going to go forward with it, but there will be a time when your sewer fails, and the option financially is a lot better to go with the sewer system.
Well,
but anyways, that, yeah.
We live so far off the road that financially, it would be extremely expensive. And I'm not just by the road, I'm way back off the road.
Perhaps we'll see what their response is to your question, because it's a good question. Sherry?
Yeah, agreed, it is. And we've had this, it was Mr. Beatty, correct? Beatty, sorry. We've had this occur before in some areas where we've had sewer and water that maybe weren't there before, but we then get services there. So it is an expectation that once services are available, you would hook up. As we build out, we are going to have to consider those things and what that means for the homeowners as well.
I would hook up, or I would be forced to hook up.
I'm pretty sure once services are available, you are required to hook up, yes. Again, safety and reliability of the surfaces is benefit to you as such.
So even though that far off the road, you would force me to financially on a pension.
Based on the examples we have to date, that's been the direction of the town, yes.
So who do I speak with after for how much taxes, why go up?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we have those specifics at this time with, oh, you mean right now, if this were to occur, what the taxes are?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. So our finance staff are here, just along the wall there, and they will be able to take your property and show you what that kind of, what that increase would be if this moves forward.
Because we get back to the same questions everybody's been saying tonight. There's no possible growth on our property. So I do not know why West Gray is tossing us into the little deal here, other than money.
There is growth opportunities within the properties that have been identified as a collective whole. Perhaps on your specific property there is not, and as has been stated by Mayor Eccles, is that the development is the property owner's direction at that time. But within the collective properties that were on the map and are available on the bulletin boards, there is development opportunities that could transpire and be activated accordingly.
Yes, on the others, but not mine.
Again, we are not looking at it as a specific property to property. I think you can imagine why, in that the sense that, you know, we can't, I want to say broken tooth kind of outline to a boundary. You're not going to have one property, well, we don't think they want to develop, and maybe you don't want to develop today, but perhaps a landowner in the future may. So again, this isn't a decision for today, it's a decision to think about collectively for decades down the road as well.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions here in the audience? I don't see any others online. Okay, well, it's 5 to 8. A motion to adjourn would be in order. Councillor Hocking first, Councillor Shea seconds. All those in favor? That is carried. We are now stand adjourned. That concludes the formal part of the meeting, but of course hang around. Staff will be here if you wish to talk about specific properties. Thank you very much.